Have you ever felt that no matter how hard you try, your body seems to fight against weight loss? You start out motivated. You follow your diet, you exercise, but suddenly you start feeling hungry. Your energy levels are low, and that uncontrollable urge to eat junk food appears out of nowhere. Believe me, this isn't a lack of discipline. It's your own brain working against you. And the worst part? It does this because it thinks it's protecting you. What almost no one tells you is that losing weight isn't just a matter of eating less and exercising more. There's a sophisticated biological system that regulates your weight like a thermostat, trying to maintain your fat stores at all costs. The problem is that this mechanism was programmed for a world where food was scarce, not for today's reality, where excess calories are everywhere. The result? A real battleground between your brain and your healthy lifestyle goals. But the good news is that you can reverse this sabotage. When you understand how the system works, you learn how to trick your brain, activating the right mechanisms to help you lose weight without suffering so much. Want to find out how to do this? Then keep reading, because what you're going to learn here can completely change the way you view weight loss. The human brain is a fascinating machine, programmed to ensure survival before anything else. When it comes to losing weight, it doesn't just see a number on the scale. It perceives a threat. Throughout evolution, losing weight was a sign of food shortages, and the body created mechanisms to avoid this situation. This is why, often, even when eating less and exercising more, the body insists on maintaining fat reserves. The brain activates systems that increase hunger and reduce energy expenditure, making the journey toward a healthy life seem like an eternal fight against the tide. This control occurs mainly through two pathways: the satiety pathway, POMC/CART, and the hunger pathway, AGRP/MPY. When we have eaten enough, the POMC/CART pathway is activated, sending signals that everything is okay and we can stop eating. But when the brain detects that we are losing fat, the AGRP/MPY pathway kicks in, increasing appetite and reducing metabolism. In other words, the body activates a kind of alarm that encourages us to eat more and spend less energy. Who has never started a diet motivated and suddenly felt incredibly hungry out of nowhere? It's not just a lack of discipline. It's the brain operating in survival mode. To overcome this biological sabotage, you need to trick the brain, showing it that everything is under control. Small strategies, such as eating protein and fiber at every meal, help keep the satiety pathway active for longer. Another powerful technique is emotional control. Understanding that uncontrollable desire for sweets may not be a real need, but rather a reflection of the body's defense mechanism. The good news is that, with resilience and smart adjustments, it is possible to reprogram the brain to work in favor of weight loss and not against it. And there is another crucial factor that influences this equation. Leave a like so that you too can deliver this video to other people who need motivation. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. This is not about religion or a formula to become a millionaire. This channel is about motivation and personal development. I help so that we can face our daily struggles. When the body notices fat loss, it goes on alert. For the brain, weight loss is not a sign of progress, but rather of danger. It interprets this change as a threat to survival and begins to react instinctively. This happens because, throughout evolution, those who were able to store energy in the form of fat had a better chance of surviving periods of scarcity. So, when reserves begin to diminish, the body activates mechanisms to slow this loss, reducing metabolism and increasing hunger, as if to say, "Hey, stop wasting energy. We need to save it." And it doesn't stop there. In addition to slowing down calorie expenditure, the brain encourages behaviors that hinder the weight loss process. Have you ever noticed how, after a while on a diet, you seem to get incredibly tired and your motivation disappears? This is no coincidence. The body begins to send signals to the person to move less, be more sedentary, and thus save energy. Emotional control itself is tested at this time because the desire for high-calorie foods, such as sweets and fried foods, becomes even more intense. It's as if the brain is playing all its cards on the table to ensure that its fat reserves remain intact. The solution? Working with the body, not against it, instead of radical diets, which only reinforce the survival response. Strategies such as intermittent fasting and nutritional re-education Show the brain that it's okay to lose fat without setting off alarms. In addition, investing in physical activities that keep the metabolism accelerated, such as resistance training and weight training, can help to overcome this natural tendency. The secret is to be resilient and consistent, because over time, the body learns that losing weight does not mean risk. And there's another factor that directly influences this equation. The human body is a master at adaptation. When it realizes that fat is being reduced, it not only increases hunger, but also finds a way to use less energy. This means that even when doing the same exercises and maintaining the diet, the metabolism slows down. This is why people often start to lose weight quickly at first, but then feel that their progress stagnates. The brain simply adjusts energy consumption to preserve fat stores as much as possible, making the process more difficult than it seems at first glance. This mechanism occurs because the body reduces adaptive thermogenesis, which is nothing more than the expenditure of energy in involuntary activities, such as maintaining body temperature and small daily movements. Have you ever noticed that when you're on a diet, you feel lazy, your body feels heavier, and even moving your hands or swinging your feet feels less natural? Well, this is part of the brain's strategy to conserve energy. As a result, weight loss slows down, and emotional control is put to the test when faced with a feeling of stagnation. The solution? Trick this adaptation. Alternating the training stimuli, such as varying between aerobics and weight training, prevents the body from getting used to it. Including strategic higher-calorie meals known as refeeds can signal to the brain that there is no risk of shortages, preventing the slowdown in metabolism. And, of course, maintaining a quality sleep routine is essential, since poor nights of sleep disrupt hunger hormones and make it harder to burn fat. The secret is to play with your body, not against it. But there's an even more curious detail about how the brain influences this entire process. The hunger we feel is not always just a question of physical need. It is often orchestrated by the brain as part of its defense mechanism. When there's a reduction in fat reserves, the AGRP/NPY pathway comes into play, intensifying desire for food. And the most interesting thing? This mechanism does not require any type of food, but rather those that are highly caloric, rich in sugar and fat. This is because, from an evolutionary point of view, these foods ensure greater energy storage for periods of scarcity. In other words, it is not a simple desire for a piece of cake. It is the brain activating a survival system that dates back to caveman times. And here comes one of the biggest challenges of weight loss: differentiating real hunger from emotional hunger. Have you ever noticed that when we are anxious or stressed, the desire to eat specific things increases? This happens because the brain associates these foods with comfort and well-being, releasing dopamine, the pleasure hormone. Therefore, it is not enough to simply reduce calories or exercise. It is necessary to understand and reprogram these emotional triggers. Techniques such as mindfulness in eating, where the person pays attention to real signs of hunger and satiety, help to overcome this automatic instinct and prevent the brain from sabotaging the weight loss process. An effective strategy is to always keep healthy options nearby that still bring a feeling of pleasure. For example, swapping an ultra-processed sweet for fruit with cinnamon or dark chocolate can help satisfy the craving without activating the vicious cycle compulsion. In addition, training emotional resilience is essential to not giving in to every signal that the brain sends. After all, sustainable weight loss is not just a question of willpower, but also of understanding how the body works and using this knowledge to your advantage. And there's another intriguing aspect to this story. If there's one thing that's become clear so far, it's that weight loss doesn't depend solely on willpower. Your brain is programmed to resist fat loss, but that doesn't mean you're doomed to failure. Quite the opposite. Now that you understand the mechanisms that control your weight, you can act strategically to reverse this biological sabotage. The question is, will you continue to let your brain fool you, or will you take control? So, think carefully. What small changes can you start implementing today to circumvent these mechanisms? It could be something simple, like adjusting your diet to keep you feeling full for longer, improving the quality of your sleep, or even practicing emotional control when faced with sudden hunger. The important thing is to take the first step, Because every smart choice you make teaches your brain to work for you, not against you. If this content made sense to you, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. That way, you'll continue receiving valuable insights on how to achieve a healthy life without falling into your own body's traps. And now tell me, what was the biggest discovery you had with this explanation? Comment below. I want to know your opinion.